Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real story with you. You all probably know that whenever a case is registered, a charge sheet is filed afterward. Then the court proceedings begin and many things happen during that legal process. As part of that process, the police file the charge sheet, and in that charge sheet, they include their version of the story along with the names of the witnesses. They provide a list of evidence and many other things. Then, one by one, all the witnesses are presented in court. You also know that one of the reasons cases take so long in countries is because the list of witnesses is so long that it takes years just to complete their testimonies. Sometimes a single witness has to be called 5 times, and only then the process moves forward. Often, even when a witness shows up, their testimony isn't recorded. So, witness testimonies are a major issue, which is one of the biggest reasons for delayed justice in counties. And sometimes, both sides' lawyers play games, intentionally delaying the witness testimonies to drag the case out so that their client, even if guilty, doesn't get punished and at least stays out on bail. Because once a verdict is given, the person might have to go to jail. So that was about witness testimonies. But sometimes, if the court feels that a witness is not appearing despite being called multiple times, then summons are issued against them. Initially, 1 or 2 summons are sent requesting the person to appear. If they still don't come, then it's up to the court to issue a non-bailable warrant or an arrest order. I'm explaining all this so that the story I'm about to tell will be easier for you to understand. This incident is from 2018 in the Meerut area, which is near Delhi. There was some kind of fight going on in a locality of Meerut. Suddenly, the phone rang in the office of the then SP of Meerut. A staff member who was on duty picked it up. The person on the phone, sounding panicked and frightened, says, "Sir, in front of a house there is 10 people are attacking one man and they might kill him. Please send the police quickly." The officer on the other end asks for the address, and the caller gives it before hanging up. That staff member immediately informs his senior. The information reaches the senior police, and then he gives instructions to notify the local police station. They're ordered to reach the crime scene immediately. In a hurry, a police jeep rushes to the location. So when they arrived, they saw that the person who had called and given all the information was right there, really was a man lying there in a terrible condition, badly injured. In a rush, the police picked him up and sent him to the hospital. But later, that man died. On one side, the investigation continued. Since the case was under the local police, they created a list of all witnesses. Among them, there was one eyewitness. The police started questioning him and asked, "Where were you at that time?" He replied, "Sir, I was at the scene." They asked, "What did you see?" So he gave a 2-page statement describing what he witnessed. In the statement, he said that at the time the fight was happening, he was sitting inside his house, eating. Suddenly, he heard shouting outside and saw that several people were attacking one man and beating him badly. He said he even tried to help and intervene, but the attackers were in such a violent mood that he didn't have the courage to confront or argue with them. After that, the police arrived, but he clearly stated that he had seen everything with his own eyes. There were about 8 to 10 boys, and they were beating up one man whose name was Farhan. After that, the witness gave his statement, wrote it down, and dated it. The date he wrote was July 14th, 2018. This statement was kept safely along with all the other documents related to the case. The police conducted their investigation and eventually arrested around 8 boys. Some were named in the FR, while others were arrested later based on witness statements. Within 90 days, the police filed the charge sheet. After the charge sheet was submitted, the case moved to court. Now the trial in court was about to begin. One by one, all the witnesses were being presented before the court, and testimonies were being recorded. Then came the testimony of the person on whose statement the case stood the strongest, and that witness was Mahfouz. Mahfouz's testimony was crucial because the murder committed by those 8 to 10 boys happened right in front of his house. He had seen everything with his own eyes, the beating and the attack, and had given a detailed statement to the police. When the court asked the police to present him, the first time the police said, "Sir, he has gone out of town for some work." The court said, "All right, present another witness." Then the testimonies of the second, third, and other witnesses continued. After some time had passed, the court remembered and asked again, "Where is your main witness, Mahfouz?" The police once again made an excuse, saying, "Sir, he's not in the city. He's gone somewhere outside for work to earn a living." The court gave them more time and set a new date, asking them to present him on the next hearing. Then the next date came. Then the court asked again, "Where is he?" And once more the police made some excuse. Time kept passing. This was a 2018 case, and the trial had already begun by the end of 2018. After that, nearly a year went by, and one by one, witness testimonies were being completed. There were still many witnesses left, but the most crucial witness for the police still hadn't been presented in court, and that was Mahfouz. The court remembered again and asked the police, "Where is this witness?" Because during arguments, whenever a point was made, whether by the public prosecutor or the defense lawyer, they would claim that this was a false case, and Mahfouz's testimony was key to proving it wasn't. They would argue, "No one saw our client beating or attacking anyone." Then the government lawyer representing the police would argue, "No, we have a witness. He saw everything with his own eyes. It all happened right in front of his house." Then during cross-examination, the defense would say, "All right, then bring that witness." At this point, the police would start to panic and say, "Okay, we'll bring him." But slowly, this cycle of excuses kept repeating. Eventually, the court also became frustrated and said, "You've asked for time so many times, who is this witness really?" Then one day, after the police were scolded, they finally said, "Sir, he has changed his residence." The court said, "All right, find the new address and bring him in." Some more time passed. Another court date came. When asked about the witness, they said, "There's still no trace of him." This time, the judge got angry and said, "So much time has passed and you're still making excuses for your most important witness. This won't be tolerated anymore. I will issue a non-bailable warrant or even an arrest warrant against him. And if he doesn't appear, and if you people fail to present him in court, then action will be taken not just in this case, but also against the officer in charge of that police station. The inspector, I will get him suspended." After that, a warrant was issued. Now, with the warrant in hand, the police were stressed and confused. What do? We can't find the witness, Mahfouz. Then one day they raided a house and brought several people from there to the police station. Once at the station, those people were roughly beaten. They were repeatedly asked, "Where is Mahfouz? Bring him here." Now, in that house they raided, there was a man named Mahfouz, a middle-aged man. Police said, brought him in, and everyone kept saying, "Sir, he's not the one you're looking for. He has nothing to do with that case." But the police weren't willing to believe them. They said, "I want the right person. There's a court date approaching." Soon, the relatives of those detained got to know that many of their family members had been taken by the police. The relatives hired a lawyer and told him the whole story, that because of someone named Mahfouz, their family members were being held at the police station and the police were threatening. The lawyer said, "All right, I'll fight the case." Being a smart lawyer, he then asked when the witness, Mahfouz, was supposed to testify in court. He found out that the court date was later that same month, just a few days away. He said, "Okay." When the court convened and the trial resumed, the judge immediately asked, "So, where is Mahfouz?" Before the police could respond, the lawyer whose clients had been picked up by the police in connection to Mahfouz stood up. The police were just about to say, "Sir, he's on the run. We don't know where he is," when the lawyer stood, introduced himself, and said to the judge, "Your Honor, if you permit, I would like to say something regarding this case." I'm not the lawyer from either side, but I can shed some light on this matter, and I can tell you exactly where that witness is. The police officers involved in the case were shocked, and so was the public prosecutor. The court granted permission, and the lawyer said, "I need to ask the investigating officer a few questions." The court allowed it. The lawyer then asked, "All right, tell me what exactly did the witness named Mahfouz say in his testimony?" The inspector replied, "Sir, he said that on that day he was eating at home when he heard a commotion outside. When he heard the noise, he came outside and saw that many boys around 8 to 10 were attacking one individual and beating him up very badly. He said, I tried to stop them. I tried to explain to them, but they didn't listen and kept beating him up badly. But I didn't have enough courage to step in and break it up. After that, the police arrived." In court, the lawyer asked, "All right, Inspector, actually. At that time, you were a sub-inspector, the one who recorded Mahfouz's statement. So tell us, did you personally take the testimony from the only eyewitness in this case?" He replied, "Yes. I spoke to him twice, once over the phone, and then once I sat with him in person and recorded his statement." The lawyer asked, "What did he look like?" He said, "He appeared to be middle-aged, probably around 45 to 48 years old." Then the lawyer asked, "When exactly did you take the statement?" He replied, "The incident happened on the 12th of July, and I recorded his statement on the 14th of July during the day. He signed it here. Look, this is his signature along with the date." And that 2-page statement clearly had Mahfouz written on it. The date written was July 14th, 2018, and the time mentioned was in the afternoon. The judge and the public prosecutor interrupted and asked the lawyer, "Why are you questioning this? What exactly are you trying to say today?" The lawyer replied, "Sir, I've finished my questions. I don't need to say anything else. I just want to show you a single page." The lawyer then pulled out a page from his coat pocket and handed it to the judge. The court assistant passed it on to the judge. The judge looked at the page and seemed disturbed and shocked. He then looked at the investigating officer and said, "Are you sure you personally recorded Mahfouz's testimony, spoke to him yourself, and took it down?" The inspector, unaware of what was in the paper, replied, "Yes, Your Honor. I recorded it myself, and I am telling the truth before the court." The judge then asked, "Do you know what this page is, the one the lawyer just handed me?" The officer replied, "No, Your Honor, I don't know." The judge said, "This page shows that the Mahfouz whose statement you claim to have recorded on July 14th, 2018, in the afternoon that Mahfouz actually died in 2002. This is his death certificate. Now, either this death certificate is fake, but I have no reason to consider it fake. You were given dozens of chances to present that witness in court, and every time you made excuses. Now I understand that witness was a ghost, and that's why he never showed up. Now the judge himself is shocked, wondering if he actually issued a summons to a ghost and then issued an arrest warrant for a ghost. The law doesn't recognize such things. So then, who was it really?" Shocked and confused, the judge took a moment and then he said, "Inspector, please tell us, did Mahfouz truly give that testimony while sitting in front of you, while you were fully conscious and aware?" Now, the inspector is sweating and trembling. He keeps stuttering and saying, "Yes, sir." So the judge asked, "If he gave you that statement on July 14th, 2018, then how did he die in 2002, 16 years earlier? Did you take the statement of a dead man?" The judge now understood the whole story and immediately ordered a full inquiry into the matter, whether this witness is alive or dead, human or ghost. The court passed an order and directed the senior superintendent of police to investigate and bring the truth before the court. The SSP assigned the responsibility to the SP, and once the inquiry began, the truth finally came out. And that truth is something our police often do. The truth was, when the incident happened, the sub-inspector was in charge at the police station. He thought it was just a regular fight and didn't take it seriously. Later, when it turned into a death case, he didn't feel like doing the hard work. sitting comfortably on his chair in an air-conditioned office. He didn't want to go look for actual witnesses or evidence. So what did he do? He called a few people. He asked around, "Hey, who lives in that area?" Then he asked one person, "What did you see?" The person replied, "I didn't really see anything. I just heard something." So he said, "All right, write it down on paper. You'll be the witness now, a fake witness." That man wrote it, and after that he left the Meerut area. No one knows which city he moved to. He took a job somewhere else and settled down with his family. He doesn't even live there anymore. Now, the sub-inspector thought that the statement had been recorded, and by the time the trial would begin and a verdict would be reached, everything would be forgotten. He assumed nothing would come of it. But what he didn't know was that the witness he wrote down would trap him. The person he named as a witness was already dead. The testimony he had recorded was from a dead man. Unluckily, the dead person's name was also Mahfouz, but he wasn't even a witness. And this whole story about witnessing the crime from across the house was completely fake. When the police did an internal inquiry, the sub-inspector had to tell the truth. He admitted, "I just made up the testimony. I created a fake witness. How was I supposed to know that one day the name and address I randomly used would turn out to be someone who had died 16 years ago?" Coincidentally, in the house from where they picked up the people earlier, there was also a man named Mahfouz of the same age. But the family kept saying, yes, there was someone named Mahfouz in our family, but he died 16 years ago. So the lawyer said that day, "The death certificate that this family has, that's the proof. The man is dead." Yet, the police are refusing to accept it. That's why the lawyer had to come forward to the court and represent that family. After all this, the court issued an order to take action against the sub-inspector and his team. That fake witness was also removed from the list, but even now the verdict in this case has not been given. When there are such witnesses and such situations, how can a verdict come quickly? In some countries, as I mentioned, there are many fake witnesses. Sometimes even the guarantors for bail are fake. 4 people are presented for bail and 2 or 3 of them, no one even knows if they are alive. This has been going on for a long time. It might sound bizarre or unusual to many of you. In this system, even dead people are made into witnesses, and sometimes dead people are even declared as criminals. It's a strange game, and everything goes on like it's normal. So this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.